Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the National Budget Reading Day, and Smart 24 TV is here to give you an analysis and the breakdown of every single inch of the national budget 2023-2024. I'm still with Agaba Collins in studio and Mr. Muhanji Pascal. Mr. Muhanji is from the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group. Under their umbrella association, civil society organizations always scrutinize and make sure the budget process comes through all the way to the citizen and, of course, meets the demands of the citizens. I also have Mr. Agaba Collins from the Uganda Manufacturers Association, an association that, of course, unites manufacturers in Uganda. Now, getting down to still priorities, and this is to Mr. Pascal. When you look at priorities, one of the things we've looked at, of course, is wealth creation, but also local government has witnessed a budget increase, luckily. And for this financial year, we have at least 5.39 trillion, which is 10% of the budget. Quite interesting. And this is going, of course, to cities, municipalities, and different districts across Uganda. This is also an increase from 5.1 trillion, which is quite interesting. In your own view, is this first of all rise justifiable, but also has the local government been able to yield results in as far as their budget allocation is concerned?
Thank you. The budget for local government has increased to 5.2 trillion. Uganda is embarked on a decentralization agenda. Before, we were focusing at the central government, but right now the focus should be on the local governments, because that is where service delivery is. Local governments are the ones that implement most of the government programs, be it education, primary health care, primary education. All those programs are basically implemented at local governments. So for me, I think even the 5.2 trillion is very small. It should have been more, because that is where all the service delivery happens. Now, when you look at the local government budget, this budget of 5.39 trillion, 77%, which is equivalent to 4.156 trillion, is actually recurrent expenditure. That is money for salaries, fuel, buying cars, and the stuff. Development expenditure
is 77%.
77%. Wow.
this budget should be addressing, even regardless of the fact that this money is small? Where should it be going?
Thank you so much, Anthony, for that. This money, when you told me about 186 billion for manufacturing, I was struggling to explain and to understand where does this money go? Because for us as manufacturers, we have never seen it. Maybe coming to Uma or anywhere, no, we never see it. But what would request? We have had some challenges and been trying to address. One, cost of power. Been telling them reduce the cost of power from the current 10 to 12 cents to 5 cents. And what is going to happen here? When you give me less power, my cost of production is going to go down. I'm going to produce more. I'm going to pay more revenue. I'm going to employ more people. That's the simple way. Secondly, when we have issues of access to cheap capital, that is money. Money is not enough for the manufacturing sector. I will tell you that currently, and as an example, we are importing over $1 billion of steel into the country. What would happen to this? We would do import substitution for this and exploit our iron ore in Kabale using the money which is in UDC, or enabling these members of ours to borrow from UDB to go and invest into the exploitation of this iron ore. Because to mine iron ore, beneficiate it and bring it out to make, let me say, an iron bar, it's not an easy job. You need heavy, it is capital intensive to invest in the steel sector, for example. So if this money is channeled towards UDB and UDC, we go and borrow from this, or we co-invest with UDC, what will happen? We shall be able to reduce on this import bill of $1 billion. That's only one sector of $1 billion, which is going out each year. So, yes. So what would I love to see is also this money, because when I say it goes to infrastructure development of the industrial parks, if it works like that, it would be better for us to work like that. Another one is also looking at maybe giving the people down there, investing in agro-industrialization and also in standardization. Because if you're going to import to some of these, export to some of these countries, what will happen? You need to have quality products which are going out. But what is happening to our SMEs down there? They want to be able to access these standards. They are quite expensive. To get a certification for an ABS, they are telling you around 1M. Yes. Just one product. If someone is running a cake business who is having around over 10 flavors, and they're telling you you're going to certify per flavor, that's around 10 million for only certification. Yeah. How much are you going to sell this cake to realize that money back? I wish this money would go to subsidize standardization, go to UDC, go to UDB, and also help us to access power cheaply. This will spur the manufacturing sector in Uganda, and we shall be the best. We shall reduce on all these import bills.
Mr. Collins, also in line with exportation,
yes,
what are some of the holdbacks? Because when you look at our products on the international market, one of the complaints that has come up is, of course, packaging, lack of quality packaging material. Because you have a very good product, but packaged poorly, you will definitely be misconstrued or misperceived or perceived as a bad quality product. Also, our Ugandan market has a lot of price fluctuations where we don't have very good standards in terms of pricing. So we don't compete well. Even with products such as tea, when you look at our tea on the Mombasa auction,
yes,
it is the least priced on the Mombasa auction. Yet when you go to England and test our tea, people will tell you this is the best tea you can find in the world. So where is the problem with as well the manufacturers and of course people who are in charge of seeing that we have more exports? We have the Uganda Export Promotion Board, we have the free zones, we have so many people that have been put in place to see that we have better exports, but we still have challenges. Where do you think these challenges can be addressed from the budget angle?
Yes, thank you so much. I'll take you back to the theme. It says full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial culture, industrialization, expanding and broadening service, digital transformation, and market access. This market access is still lacking. When you talk about the tea issue, when you go there and you get this tea, do you think it has made in Uganda? Or it has, where do they see it coming from? It may be coming from Kenya. Yeah. They will be thinking this is coming from Kenya, it's not Ugandan made. Now, what is the challenge we are having as Ugandans to access these other markets? UPB, first of all, is not being funded enough. We don't have an export strategy. It phased out actually, it is expired. We have to come back and work on the it is called the Uganda National Exportation Strategy. It has to be revised. Look at how far can we go to export these products of ours. Secondly, the standards. We pray to government that this standard body, UNBS, should be funded enough in order to enable it to carry out some of this work of surveillance, certification, testing, and all that, to have those regional labs. Third, we need to see how do we access these markets. There's a challenge of, they have opened many markets. They're telling you about Algeria. I had the Honorable Minister talking about Algeria, South Africa, milk. We produce over, I think the latest statistic I saw was around 2 billion liters of milk per year. But how much are we consuming locally? It is not even half of that which you are consuming. So we could be able to export this milk of ours in powdered form. That is value addition now. But now the challenge is, how am I going to access this market? I once had a meeting with a gentleman. He was exporting his milk to Zambia on his own, not involving government, because he tried and he failed. He says his milk took 2 weeks by bus to reach Zambia. How do you think this is going to affect the person down there? If the milk is taking 2 weeks, how am I going to keep on? Because this is revolving, let me say it is revolving money. If I give out, I have to get the money back very fast so that I can invest in more and then be able to develop. And also when I talk about Algeria, is there any flight to Algeria?
Direct flights?
Yeah, is it there?
I doubt we have one.
We don't have any. Uganda Air Cargo. Do you know we have been trying actually in our at UMA to find out how much does it cost per square meter or per metric ton for me to export from Uganda to Algeria using Uganda Air Cargo. Do you know what happened? I got my phone, I got a number on the website. When I called it, it is out of service. I was like, now how are we going to access these people? Because we wanted to know. We have to send an MOU with our manufacturers. Yeah. We see how to enable exportation and they fetch more forex into our country. But we are being hampered by some of these things. Yeah. Yes.
Wow, interesting insights there from Gov't. Mr. Muhanji, I want to come back to you still on the issue of this prioritization. Now, the budget is program-based, which is quite good, giving us a little bit more insights into what each program is receiving. My major issue of concern, and what I've heard at least from several Ugandans, is after human capital development, which is of course justified. It's including health, education, and a couple of other very interesting other sub-programs. But governance and security taking 7.5 trillion, with security itself alone taking the lion's share, and a couple of other expenditures in there that are called classified. We have never known what goes in there or how it is used. And we still budget for governance and security as our second biggest funded program. What is your opinion on this? Shouldn't the government really come out strongly, especially for the governance and security, to say, okay, this is how much we've done, at least in the past 5 years, classified expenditure has done this and that and that, or we're actually overspending when it comes to governance and security?
Thank you. When it comes to security, we shall never know what happens in classified expenditure. That one, I don't think we shall ever know, at least in my life, we shall not know. Security and governance taking 7.5 trillion, it's a lot. I think it is too much. And this is where we could have cut to put on some of these programs that are underfunded. What happens in governance and security? This is police, UPDF, and other programs that are related to security. Now, when it comes to security, it is tricky because there is no information. They don't communicate well. If you go to the website of Ministry of Finance, you'll not find information about their budgets. So there is a lot of darkness around this program, which I think is a safe haven for corruption and misuse of public resources. Because if you cannot be transparent enough to say, this is what I'm allocating to this, maybe classified expenditure, and it is going to do this and this, then the citizens will not know what is happening, and then it can be used as a form of misusing resources. Then other priorities, there are some core NDP programs that are not funded well. A good example is tourism development.
Okay.
Now, if you rank, there are 20 programs. If you rank these programs according to those that got the highest, tourism development is number 15. But Uganda is called the part of Africa, right? For a reason. Because it has these natural sources that we can actually tap into using tourism development to actually fetch a lot of money in form of tourism revenue. Now, if you're putting it as number 15, yet is a core NDP program, then there is a problem. We are not promoting ourselves very well.
But Mr. Pascal, you see the budgets, they recommended an increase of 194 billion earlier to 242.7 billion, going to revamp the tourism sector. Don't you think this was sufficient enough?
Is it enough? Let me give you an example.
Yes.
Our neighbor Rwanda has an agreement with a famous club in England called Arsenal. They had a marketing budget just for Arsenal of $10 million per year for 4 years. Those are $40 million. How much is that in Uganda shillings? How much is 40 million in Uganda shillings? You'll find that if you put it in Uganda shillings, it will be almost half our budget. That's just one component of budget of developing the Rwandan tourism sector on marketing. That's just marketing. Now, if you have 200 billion and you think it's enough for actually doing the development work, marketing, and doing everything for tourism, for me, I think it is not enough because Uganda has capacity to develop tourism, collect enough money to pay off these debts because we have the resources, we have the natural resources, but we are not tapping into them. So,
on the tourism industry, Mr. Pascal, you will find that Kenya doesn't have as much tourist attractions as we do. But when you look at their tourism industry and their safari, lodges, and so on, they are way beyond what we could see in Uganda. And this is also when you look at the hospitality industry, because remember, tourism is not just about the attractions. It's also about what comes along with it. For example, the hospitality industry, the hotel industry, the people, the personnel that you're employing in these industries, are they professional? Do they know what they're doing? Because at the end of the day, tourism is basically after agriculture, one of what I would call our ribs. Because if agriculture is our backbone, then tourism should be somewhere after agriculture. But we are not looking at the right direction. Even despite the small budget, Mr. Pascal, where do you think this money should go to address challenges in the tourism sector, especially in the hospitality industry?
One, you would address, if you go to these parks, the quality of hotels, the quality of roads, we need to put up what we call tourism, specifically to facilitate tourism activities. We now have oil roads. We could do the same for tourism. Roads that are strategic for the tourism sector. After that, we could work on marketing. Uganda does not market itself. Countries actually go out there and market. They have very big budgets for marketing their tourism industry. I'll give you an example of Rwanda. Just one component of their marketing budget with Arsenal is $40 million.
For one team?
Just one company.
Yes.
And they are doing a lot more.
Yeah.
So for us, we have the entire budget is 42 billion.
Yeah.
And we think that is enough? That is meager.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Finally, Mr. Gov't, in as far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, I have interest in the budget elsewhere besides manufacturing, because already what you're given is small enough. But let's look at, for example, works and transport. The works and transport sub-program, as part of improving national road network, has been allocated 2.475 trillion. That is through Uganda National Roads Authority. But furthermore, 401.2 billion has been allocated to Uganda Road Fund for improving district, urban, and community access roads. You cannot have good manufacturing, you cannot have exports without good roads. I'll take an example for our industrial area in Uganda, which we take so much pride in. When you look at the nature of the roads, it's not satisfying. In this budget, do you think the works and transport budget is sufficient to cater for the needs of the manufacturers, especially those in the industrial parks, those that are in industrial areas, for the next financial year?
Thank you so much. I wish I could have a look at this budget and look at, I would highlight for you the names of these roads which have been given the budget. One, you will see that these are upcountry roads. Of recent, we have been having that online exhibition for the roads in Kampala, and they were in a sorry state. And what happened? They gave them 6 billion shillings to work on the roads. Is that sufficient? It's like a drop in an ocean. It's not going to solve all these problems. If you go to these municipalities, all of them are complaining, and this is where most of the manufacturing is taking place. If you go to Namavi Industrial Park, nothing. Of recent, we had the Mbali Industrial Park. What happened? It flooded. What is happening? The infrastructure is still a problem. I wish all this money, they would, because if you go to this, I will tell you, we are not going to make the roads in industrial parks. It's not their mandate. But then they're going to make the highways. What is happening to the highway, the one of Ginger Road? Which is, look at Ginger Road alone, actually from Kampala, let me say Ginger Road, the one of Ginger Road of Kampala, up to Ginger. Look at that road. You guys look at Mabira. It's full of potholes. Yeah. That is the way we have our biggest economy. That is the road which brings in most of our biggest economy, because most of our imports come from Mombasa, and we use that road. This is not happening. If infrastructure, if they would say this money, if it was put into railway transport, we have been praying for the SGR. Well, we are still having hopes, but we don't know when it will come. Well, we're like, no, okay, put up the meter gauge railway. Give money to Uganda Railway Corporation. Because if I give you an example, if I'm importing a coil of steel into the country, I can import around, I say, 4 coils on, two coils on one wagon. And I'm going to carry like 4 wagons. That is around like 5 wagons, that is around 10 coils. But if I'm going to use a truck, I'm going to use around between $100 to say to $200 to import. But if I am going to use railway, I'm going to use only less than $90 to import. If you could put this money into the railway transport, improve on road network in the industrial area, in the industrial parks, and also the Ginger Road, our main economy road, that would work for us. Yeah. Other than putting this money, they're going to see the roads are being worked on in the northern Uganda and eastern Uganda. Is there manufacturing there? Mm-hmm. Is there industrialization? Are we getting value for that money? I would say no. You will only find people drying their cassava on the road, selling mangoes on the road, which is not going to help the manufacturer and the local person.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gov't. As finally, of course, for the parting shots, Mr. Pascal Muhanji, what would be your message to Ugandans as they, of course, await in the next few minutes to hear the reading of the national budget? What should they take out, and why should they take this very, very serious?
My message to a Ugandan out there waiting for the national budget is to, first of all, I congratulate you upon having gone through the entire process from last year in August to this point when we are going to read the budget. Mm-hmm. It is a citizens' budget. It was prepared using the input from citizens. So it is now up to us to receive the budget, but when we have received the budget, we have to follow up, keep monitoring the budget implementation, and then track progress and report back. There are so many tools that are out there that we can use to report back to government and the issues that are happening in the budget. One of them is the citizens feedback platform by the Auditor General, which you can actually log in. It is an application and report directly to the Auditor General if things are not going the right way in your community. Use such things to get involved in the implementation and monitoring of service delivery. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for sharing your insights with the viewers. And the viewers, thank you so much for those of you who have been online and have left comments. A few minutes from now, the budget is going to be read, but of course we still have a few things still going on at Kololo, so that we have the whole setup ready. We are going to take another very short break. We return briefly with more about the Uganda national budget. My name is Anthony. Stick around.
Smart 24.